What if I told you that your entire life could change? And not from some huge dramatic overhaul, but from something, well, something tiny. In this explainer, we're diving deep into James Clear's masterpiece, Atomic Habits, to figure out how these teeny tiny 1% improvements are the real key to getting just incredible results. All right, let's get into it.
So let's just start with this idea right here because it really stops you in your tracks. Winners and losers have the same goals. I mean, think about it. Every athlete wants to win the gold medal. Every startup wants to be a unicorn. Just having the goal doesn't make you special. So if goals aren't the thing that separates the winners from the losers, then what is?
And that question leads us straight to the first huge idea from the book. Our obsession with goals is, honestly, a little bit misplaced. It's why we can hit a target and then almost immediately find ourselves slipping right back into our old ways. Yeah, and this slide just lays it out perfectly. On the one hand, you've got this goal-oriented mindset. It's all about getting to a finish line. You cross it, you get that moment of victory, and then what? The motivation just evaporates. But look at the other side, a systems-oriented approach. That's a whole different game. It's not about a single achievement. It's about the process itself. You're not just trying to run a marathon, you're trying to become a runner. So what is a system exactly? It's simply the collection of daily habits that's going to get you where you want to go. It's the process, not the prize. If you're a coach, your goal is to win the championship. Your system is what your team does at practice every single day. And the most successful people, they are obsessed with perfecting that system. And that brings us to the real engine behind this whole idea. It's a concept so simple, you might just brush it off. But trust me, its effects are absolutely mind-blowing. Just 1%. That's it. Clear says habits are basically the compound interest of self-improvement. You know how money multiplies with compound interest? Well, the effects of your habits multiply in the exact same way as you repeat them. And it all kicks off with this incredibly simple idea. Just try to get 1% better every single day. And look at this graph. This shows you just how dramatic that is. That upward curve is insane. If you get just 1% better each day for a year, you end up 37 times better than when you started. But, and this is crucial, the reverse is also true. If you let yourself get 1% worse each day, you slide almost all the way down to zero. It's proof that those tiny daily choices, they really do add up to massive, massive change. Okay, but this is the question, right? This is what we all struggle with. If it's so powerful, why is it so ridiculously hard to stick with a new habit? We get all motivated, we start strong for a few days, maybe a week, but we don't see those 37 times better results right away. And so we get discouraged. We think it's not working, and we give up. Well, James Clear has a name for this. He calls it the plateau of latent potential, or my favorite, the valley of disappointment. It's that frustrating gap between the effort you're putting in and the results you're seeing. The best analogy is an ice cube. You put it in a room that's 28 degrees, nothing. 30 degrees, still nothing. 31, nothing. Then you hit 32 degrees and bam, it starts to melt. All that work wasn't wasted. It was just storing up energy for the breakthrough. So how do you actually push through that valley of disappointment and make your habits stick for good? Well, this is where Clear gives us a super practical, incredibly powerful framework. He calls it the 4 laws of behavior change. But before we get to the laws, you've got to understand the habit loop. Every single habit you have, good or bad, follows these 4 steps. First, there's a cue, a trigger. Then a craving, the motivation. Then the response, which is the actual habit. And finally, the reward, the satisfaction. Your phone buzzes, that's the cue. You crave knowing who messaged you. You pick it up, that's the response. You satisfy your curiosity, that's the reward. The 4 laws are all about hacking this loop. Okay, so here are the laws. First, to hack the cue, you make it obvious. Want to remember to take your vitamins? Don't hide them in a cabinet. Put the bottle right next to your coffee maker. Second, for the craving, you make it attractive. This is where you use something called temptation bundling. You pair something you want to do is something you need to do. Like, I will only listen to my favorite podcast while I'm going for a run. Third, for the response, you make it easy. Reduce the friction. The 2-minute rule is gold in here. A new habit should take less than 2 minutes. So read more becomes read 1 page. And finally, for the reward, you have to make it satisfying. Your brain needs a win right now. Even something as simple as marking an X on a calendar can give you that little hit of dopamine that says, hey, do that again. And here's the really brilliant part. To break a bad habit, you just invert the laws. It's that simple. Instead of making it obvious, you make it invisible. Hide the junk food. Instead of attractive, you make it unattractive. Think about the negative consequences. Instead of easy, you make it difficult. Unplug the TV and put the remote in another room. And instead of satisfying, you make it unsatisfying. Maybe tell a friend you'll pay them $10 every time you skip a workout.
All right, so we've got the practical how-to with the 4 laws, which is awesome. But to make these changes truly permanent, we have to go a level deeper. This is where it gets really profound. It's less about what you're doing and so much more about who you're becoming. And this, right here, might be the single most important idea in the whole book. See, most of us try to change from the outside in. We focus on the outcome. I want to lose 20 pounds. But true, lasting change happens when you flip that script. It happens from the inside out. It's about changing your beliefs about who you are at your core. I mean, look at this comparison. It's so clear. The outcome-based approach is, I want to read 20 books. But what happens when you hit 20? The goal is done. The identity-based approach is completely different. It's, I am a reader. And when you believe you're a reader, picking up a book isn't a chore you're forcing yourself to do. It's just who you are. The behavior just flows naturally. So how do you build this new identity? Well, it's not some overnight thing. You build it with evidence. I love this quote. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Every time you put on your running shoes and go out the door, even for 5 minutes, you're casting a vote that says, I'm a runner. Every time you write one paragraph, you're casting a vote for, I'm a writer. These little actions are you proving to yourself, vote by vote, who you're becoming. So let's pull all these threads together now. We've talked about the problem with goals, the power of 1%, the 4 laws, but it all really points back to this one central idea. You have to build your system. And this quote just says it all, doesn't it? You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Your goals can be ambitious and inspiring. They can point you in the right direction. But your goals are not what determine your success. Your systems, your collection of daily habits, that's what determines your success. So let's do a quick recap of the biggest takeaways here. First, focus on your systems, not just your goals. That's where the magic happens. Second, remember the incredible power of getting just 1% better. Those small gains compound into something huge. Third, use the 4 laws to engineer your habits. Make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. And maybe the most important of all, focus on your identity. Don't just do the thing. Become the type of person who does the thing. Because every single action is a vote for your future self. Look, at the end of the day, the life you have right now is just a reflection of your past habits. But the amazing news is that you are always just one tiny habit away from a totally different future. So the question I want to leave you with is this. What one tiny vote will you cast today for the person you want to become?